All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now officially live here at JP Football Fanatics. Great to see everybody live. And to those who are tuning in right now, I saw we have one person in right now, maybe even two. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. Excuse me. My throat was getting a little caught there. But thank you guys for tuning in. It really does mean a lot when you guys do tune in every single week, and it really does help me uh, going in and coming up with more content to do for you guys. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. Hope everybody was able to enjoy a little bit of last night's podcast about the Week 10 recap reaction videos. I enjoyed doing those a lot actually because it gives me, the opportunity to be able to talk about and describe what went on in each game, like how games could have been planned out a little bit differently than what they anticipated to be and stuff like that. But it's always a good time. I love doing those weekly recap videos, and I really like doing my weekly picks too as well. I've been enjoying to do them for quite some time. Even before I was on YouTube. I always did on my Instagram and social media, I always did like pick'ems and I would have people like vote like which team is going to win for this week, that team or this team. And certain amount of people would vote for a specific team. Uh, and it was nice. It was good to see. And it kind of inspired me to start with this podcast. So that's why I started off with that. But I love doing these pick'ems as well. Really helps me out a lot as far as really see like where I'm at and, be able to talk about like with you guys as far as like give you some in depth of like what I think is going to work out best for each of these teams and stuff like that. So that's why I really enjoy doing these a lot. So, so it's been nothing but joy for me to do this for you every single week within the last 11 weeks for you guys. So thank you so much for letting me take up your Tuesday, Wednesday nights for this. It really does mean a lot. If you guys have not already, if you guys would like to, while I'm still trying to get some things prepared and ready to go, please drop a like on this video, leave a comment down below as well. Really does help out a lot as far as, when, I'm trying to come up with new content and I want to be able to share like new different content with you guys and football content. It always helps me out a lot. So if you guys can just drop a like, leave a comment down below and just help me out as far as like what can I do better to make this YouTube channel grow? What can I do to make it better? And so on and so forth. And then also, if you are able to as well, hit that subscribe button. Guys, if you can hit that subscribe button and you hit that notification bell as well, you guys are helping me out like a ton when you do stuff like that because it really shows to me that you guys are eager, you like what I have to say, and you want to hear more about it. That really helps me out in terms of like my planning and what I'm going to be able to provide for you guys. So if you could do that, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. All those things are going to be worthy at the end of the day. So do some of those things and we will all be fine with that. And my YouTube channel will kick off and be better than ever. So if you're a football fanatic, do some of these things, share the word around, and all will be good for this podcast. All right. So thank you so much. Really means a lot that you guys are tuning in every week. I really do appreciate each and every week that you guys do tune in. It really helps me out, and it really, shows me that there are people out there that are interested. So that's always the best thing. But I'm really looking forward to this week. I think this is going to be, another interesting week of football. We might see some upsets go on this week, possibly. We'll see, and we might see some upsets. We might see some real exciting games like we did last week. I think there's going to be a lot of really good games going on within this weekend, so that'll be something really special for me to really go over and talk about with you guys. So, yeah, it's going to be something real special. So, as soon as I'm done putting in all my graphics that I need to put in, then we will get started with talking about the very first game of the weekend. So just bear with me, folks. We are almost there. Just give me a couple more seconds here to drag over some of my lower thirds graphics so that way you guys can see what games I'm talking about. And then we will get rocking and rolling. All right, so just hold on one second. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry my voice has been like this for the last several weeks. My voice is definitely a lot better than it was last week for sure. But there is still a cough that's like lingering in my throat. Still, I get tickles here and there in my throat, and my voice is still a little bit nasally, a little bit, but not anywhere as bad as it was last week. But so I'm at least able to talk with people now, so which without like my voice hurting. So that's really a good thing. And so thank you for that. All right, let's tune into our first game of the week, and that is the Tennessee Titans, who are traveling and making their way to Lambeau Field, Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers. So the Green Bay Packers are favored by 3 points, which is a little bit surprising to me. I think it's a little bit surprising, mainly because of the way the Packers have been playing within the last several weeks. I know last week's win was kind of fluky a little bit. A lot of people picked the Cowboys, including myself, and thought they were going to kind of run away a little bit and really show up the Packers in that sort of aspect. But the Packers showed resilience and they battled all the way back to beat the Cowboys last week in overtime, 38-21. So I'm not completely sold on the Packers yet. I still don't think they're like a great team outside of Aaron Rodgers and outside of Aaron Jones. And that run game that they do have, really, that's like their best option is the run game. And I believe, as far as I know, Aaron Jones is playing in this game. He was questionable for a little bit, but I think he is still playing in this game, unless I heard something different. And if I did, please let me know in the comments down below so that way I do know. But I believe Aaron Jones is playing in this game. And then some of the running backs, too. Like, if you take a look at some of the running backs and wide receivers that they do have, I mean, Christian Watson. I think Christian Watson, this is probably going to be like his second, the second half of the season where he's probably going to really start showing up some secondary players. He did that last week against the Cowboys, which is one of the best, if not the best, pass rush in the NFL right now. So that's a little bit surprising to really see as far as how that's going for him and Christian Watson. So he had a real impressive game last week for like, I believe he had like 4 receptions and had like 3 touchdowns. It's unbelievable what this guy can do. So, be grateful for him. And excuse me. And then you have Alan Lazard too. That's also in that position as well as wide receiver, and in the defense of the Packers, besides a little bit of their pass rush, which is pretty good for the most part. I don't think they've been that bad this year, but as far as like the run defense, they really don't do a very good job stopping the run. Even with the Cowboys last week with Tony Pollard, they even struggled to stop him a little bit. So I do concern about their defense, especially in the run defense, and that is going to kind of trick up as far as like how are they going to be able to do with Derrick Henry. We know Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the NFL right now, and he did get stomped up a little bit by the Broncos last week, but the Broncos defense is very good. So there's no question about that. But I think he's going to have more of an easier way for him to maneuver his ways and be a little bit more elusive than he was last week against this struggling run defense of the Packers. I'm not really too impressed by either one of these two teams this year. I don't think either one of these teams are really the absolute greatest. But this is Lambeau Field. It's Thursday Night Football. Anything can potentially happen. You never really know. But I think I will take Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to win in kind of like a slight upset in a way. I think it's tough to beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field. I think they kind of have like that spark that's coming along with them right now. That's going to be a little bit tough for them to really, you know, keep that momentum going throughout the rest of the season. But I think they are due for a couple of wins here. I think they do beat the Titans somehow. The Titans are going to give them struggles. There's no doubt about it. I think they have one of the best defensive units in the NFL, probably at least top 5 and top 10, respectively. So they do have a great defense that's going to give Aaron Rodgers some problems. And a little bit of their offensive line, too, is also very suspect. So that could definitely play a factor in that. And if the Packers, if they do not use the run game with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, this could be a completely different game, and the Titans could take over. But I just have that gutty feeling that I don't know if I can pick against Aaron Rodgers again after last week. I mean, it's very hard for me to pick against Aaron Rodgers, but it's also tough for me to pick against the Tennessee Titans too. because the Tennessee Titans, what they do have to the table outside of like, they have a great defense. They don't have a lot to really show besides Derrick Henry, and then the defense, of course. It's going to be very tough for them to do that. But I think the Packers come in. I think they will come in to win this game. And I think it's also a possibility too that we also might see the Packers even cover the spread too. If I'm being honest with you, they might be able to cover the spread. So I will take the Packers to win and to cover the spread for Thursday Night Football. And that will be the end of that. All right, next game. We've got the Chicago Bears, who are traveling and playing down south to the Atlanta Falcons in Georgia. The Falcons are favored by 3 points. I do not blame them one bit for Vegas for picking them by 3, because the way the Bears played last week against the Lions should not have happened the way that it did. The Bears had every opportunity to win against the Lions, and they had the game won for most of the entire game. But the Lions came back and they really came to life with against a Chicago defense that is obviously rebuilding after losing two of their best defensive players in Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. That's really hurts them a lot. And even without those two, the defense of the Bears has not been very impressive at all since those two defensive players have left. And the Falcons, on the other hand, yes, the Falcons are also coming off of a bad loss against the Panthers. Marcus Mariota was dreadful in that game last week, um, which also kind of makes it very difficult to pick the Falcons, and it makes it very difficult to pick the Bears. But one of these two teams is going to end up winning. Now, which team do I really trust the most as far as who's going to really win? Well, we'll go a little bit more in depth. Both these teams do a really good job in the run. I think, especially the Bears of what they do with Justin Fields and how they use him as like more of a running back prospect than they use him as a passer, which is, for a quarterback, he's kind of like another Michael Vick to them. And that really makes teams very confused, and makes them very frustrated because the dude is very athletic. He's very athletic for the size that he is and for the team that he does play. He's a very athletic player. He is a good quarterback. I like him. I don't love everything about what he does, but I do like his athleticism that keeps the Bears in the game and a little bit more competitive when he does run and have good rushing yardages. And they do have some good running backs too. Khalil Herbert is on the IR. That's going to hurt them a little bit, so they're going to have to rely most of the bulk of the carries for David Montgomery once again. And we'll see if David Montgomery does build up to that momentum that Khalil Herbert does have and that speed. But I don't think that will happen. The Falcons can run with Marcus Mariota. They do a good job with that. They contain him from making many mistakes, unlike last week. He had a ton of mistakes last week, and he's not on the same key with like Drake London, or he's not on key with Kyle Pitts, and that's why the two of them have been so up and down this year, is because of his inaccuracy as a passer. But what he does do well, like with Fields, he does a very good job with scrambling and being able to rush out of the pocket and make some plays on his feet. And they also do have some good running backs as well with Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algier. Like this, both of these teams really do a good job with running the ball. But at the end of the day, who does the better job of running the ball? Who is essentially the better coaching staff in this point, and where is the game plan being played? Okay, so I will talk about that a little bit. I will take the Falcons to win the straight up. Not sure if I will take them to cover the spread, because I think that I will take the Bears +3 in this game, because it's a very good possibility that the Bears could pull off, the win here against the Falcons away on the road. And that's why I'm taking the +3, because I think it's a potential game where the Bears could steal this game away from the Falcons. But I'm taking the Falcons to win straight up, because I feel like with taking them straight up, I feel like they're more of a complementary football team. They're a better coached team. And even though the quarterback of Mariota isn't really any better, or about maybe even the same, maybe a little bit worse than Justin Fields, but I think with the veteranism that he does have in him, and what his coaching staff does have in store for the team in terms of running the ball and using him for his legs. That's why I take the Falcons. So I will take the Falcons to win the straight up this week, and I will take the Bears for the +3. Right? So excuse me 1 second. Sorry, I had something caught in my throat there a little bit, but I had to cough that off a little bit. So thank you for your patience. All right, next game we've got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are traveling their way to the Indianapolis Colts. So after last week's loss, the Eagles are still a very heavy margin of favoritism. They're showing still favoritism for Vegas. The Eagles are 6.5 point favorites. The Colts are coming off of a win against the Raiders. The Raiders, in terms of Jeff Saturday, interim head coaching days. Who do I pick in this game? The Eagles are losing Dallas Goedert for who knows how long after that injury last week. The defense of the Eagles is kind of like what I thought it was going to be this year, and even during the season, they are who I thought they were. They're very inconsistent on defense. They don't always carry a consistent pass rush, and they don't always carry like a consistent run defense. So their defense is very, not subpar, but very inconsistent. They have talent. They've had some games where they've been solid, but there are times where they are very inconsistent, and that's why it's hard to pick the Eagles with in terms of their defense and in terms of offense. Now, the offense, on the other hand, for the Eagles, with Jalen Hurts, with AJ Brown, and a little bit of some run game, when they choose to do the run game, the Eagles' offense can be unstoppable. But again, they are also very inconsistent too. We saw that the last couple of weeks. We saw that when they struggled against a 1-6-1 team, whatever their record is, of the Houston Texans. They struggled significantly on offense last week against the Commanders. And it would not be a surprise here if they struggled to the Colts here, who have an easy top 5, top 10 defensive unit. The Colts, I'm talking about the Colts. Their defense is solid. They are tough. Stephon Gilmore. They did lose Leonard for the rest of the year. That's going to really hurt them quite a bit in that aspect. But look at all the defensive players that they do have, and they have a good defensive line as well. So the Colts defense is solid, rock solid. It's a defense you don't want to play. And I can see Stephon Gilmore and AJ Brown having a really nice matchup between the two that could be really tough for the Eagles to win. Now, what do the Colts have offensively? They have Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan has not been playing well this year, but he has played. He did play well last week against the Raiders. That I think that was just more of a fluke, if I'm being honest with you, because the Raiders' defense is terrible, probably worse than the Lions' defense. I don't know, but he is so much better than Sam Ehlinger. I will say that right now. So much better than Sam Ehlinger. And when he played last week, he made the offense they do look a little more explosive, and they look more competent when Matt Ryan is in, because I think it's the veteran in him, and with him having so many solid games and stats throughout the years and accuracy, and he is still very accurate of a quarterback, surprisingly, despite his arm strength not being there anymore and not being able to make like the plays outside of the pocket. But there are at times where he's had some good moments, but I think he is better than Sam Ehlinger. So am I going to pick the Colts as an upset win against the Eagles? It's very hard because the Eagles, their schedule is not the greatest, with maybe a couple tough matchups here. The Commanders being one of them. The Cowboys, they have to play again. The Titans, they have to play at some point during the season. And then the Colts is honestly a pretty tough matchup for them that could give them some problems. So am I going to take the interim coach of Jeff Saturday to go into Indianapolis for his first home game debut? Do I take him to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Do I want to risk it? I think I'm going to. I'm going to take the Colts. I'm taking the upset. Okay? I am taking the upset with the Colts. Yes, the Colts are not a good team. I will say that right now. But what makes up for it is the defense. The defense, if the Eagles' offense does not explode the way that it has the last, does not explode like it hasn't within the last couple of weeks, and they are facing like a top 5, top 10 easily defense of the Colts, they win. The Colts can win this game easily, and they can win on defense. I will take the Colts to win the game straight up, and I will take the Eagles to cover the spread because I think the Eagles have a good chance of winning this game, and they have a good chance of covering the spread too if their offense stays in line. But I will take the Colts to win straight up. I will take the Colts for an upset. For an upset. So let's go. All right, next up, we've got the New York Jets, the Jets, Jets, playing their divisional foe of the New England Patriots, who are 3.5-point favorites at home. Who am I taking in this game? Let's start off with that. Both of these teams are in the playoff picture right now. They are inside the playoff picture. And how likely is it that all three teams will make, all four teams could make the AFC, from the AFC East? Very likely, how likely is it going to be that they all make the playoffs? Maybe, possibly, if the Jets defense holds up, because I think the only way the Jets are going to get into the playoffs is really their defense. That's why they're in my top 10 every single week is that defense. That's really it. But it's tough because they have to go into New England and they have to play. This is them not playing at home. This isn't the Bills where they can upset the Bills. It's Bill Belichick. It's the New England Patriots. It's Mac Jones. It's the coaching staff. It's the ownership. It's not easy to play in Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Not easy whatsoever. No matter how good the team or how bad the team is, it's never an easy spot for them. But which of the defenses do I trust more? Do I trust Robert Saleh and his defense with the defensive coach that he is, or do I trust Bill Belichick, who's been in the league for many years and has had successful defenses in New England? So which one do I take? See, the thing is, my heart wants to go with the Jets again because I like to see the Jets be successful for once. As a Jersey boy, I would like to see the Jets be successful for at least one day. I really do. And it was nice for them to win against the Bills. Even though I picked against them, it was nice to see them beat the Bills at home. They're not at home this time. And playing in New England, playing in front of those fans, run young sophomore quarterback. It's not easy to play in New England and beat Bill Belichick. It's just not easy. Just ask any young quarterback and how successful they've been against Bill Belichick. I will take the Patriots to win. My heart wants to go with the Jets. I really want to go with the Jets. My heart wants to go with the Jets. I might even root for the Jets. But I got to take Bill Belichick. I got to take the Gillette Stadium and home stadium for the Patriots. And maybe even take the spread too, because I think 3.5 is a pretty good margin right there. They could win by more, could win by less. Maybe wait to see how Sunday rolls around and maybe it'll drop to 3 points just only, which is very possible that the Patriots could easily cover that. But I will take the points there. Let's go New England. Let's go Bill Belichick. Let's do it. All right, next game is the Washington Commanders, the Washington Commies, who are 3.5-point favorites, and they travel to Houston to play the Houston Texans, the very bad Houston Texans. The Washington Commanders started out the season very poorly, but are now back to 500, and they are back in the playoff run, which is something that I'd like to see that. I think that's awesome that the Commanders are trying to find their way back into the playoffs in the season. I really do. I think that's awesome. Now, based off of news that I read today, as far as we all know right now the starting quarterback is still going to be Taylor Heineke, unless it's told otherwise. Unless we're told otherwise. But right now it is Taylor Heineke that is the starting quarterback. And like I've said on the show, last night and maybe even a couple of weeks before, yeah, Taylor Heineke, he may not be the greatest quarterback on this earth. There are definitely a lot of flaws that he does have, which is given the reason why he is not the starter in Washington. But at the same time, I feel like between him and Carson Wentz and how different the team is under Heineke than it was under Wentz, I got to go with the Commanders to win. Because I think Heineke puts them in a better position to win. He makes a lot more risky throws for sure. But I feel like with Heineke, he's not so erratic under pressure. It does not seem like he's like that. He does not seem like he's very skittish. And I think he's willing to take sacks here and there. And he will. He plays smart football, smart complementary football that's tough to beat. And I think with Carson Wentz and what we've seen him play throughout his few years with the Eagles, what we've seen him play last year with the Colts, and what we've seen him play in the first few games of this season with the Commanders, the guy does not do very well under pressure. And he holds on to the ball for way too long, takes too many sacks for the team. It doesn't put them always in a best position to win. And if they do put them in the best position to win, it's like a very ugly way of doing it. And it really gives them a lot of puts a lot of pressure for them to win, and they always have to travel back, and it makes it very hard for Carson Wentz to win a game. Whereas Taylor Heineke seems more composed. He seems more confident in his abilities to be successful in this league. And that's why I pick the Washington Commanders to win. Even if this was at home, no matter where the game is, I don't care if the game is on the moon. All right? I don't care if it was on Pluto. I don't care. The Commanders still win. The Texans are terrible. The only thing that they could do well in is their secondary. That's it. With Sting, that's it. Who might have some good coverage with scary Terry McLaurin. But that's about it. They can run all over this defense with Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson. Like, they've got a lot of good running backs that they can be successful in with the run game, and they could get, over 100 yards easily over this Texans run defense because it's just absolutely dreadful. But yeah, I'll take the Commanders. I will take them to win the game. I will take them to cover the spread as well. All right, next game. You've got the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams, who are traveling and making their way to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, I have no idea how they're favored, but at the same time, I understand why they're favored because of the Rams having so many injuries, so many questions on, Matthew Stafford, the quarterback, and when he's returning. And then with the Saints having their quarterback issues as well with Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, who's going to be playing next? Is it going to be Winston? Is it going to be Andy Dalton? Is it going to be like a third stringer? Or what are they going to do at quarterback? Like, the quarterback issue for the Saints has been an issue for them the last couple of weeks. It's going to be time for them to make that decision. I don't believe they did make a starting quarterback decision yet, but I don't think they're going to roll with Andy Dalton. They might go back to Jameis Winston. If not Jameis Winston, maybe they might try another quarterback, maybe a third-string quarterback, or heck, they might even try Taysom Hill. You never know. But I get why they are favored because of the Rams and all their injuries that they're dealing with right now. The Rams have not been very impressive at all this year, and it showed last week when John Wolford played, and he's not a very good quarterback. To be quite honest with you, he's not good in the NFL, and Cooper Kupp also suffered an injury. So that's going to really ruin the rest of the season for the Rams, and they could easily miss the playoffs this year. And with that being said, for Cooper Kupp, the next guys that are going to be standing, really filling in the plate now is going to be like Ben Skoranek. That's a special teams guy. Allen Robinson, washed, hasn't really done anything. Tyler Higbee, Darrell Henderson in the backfield. Like, that's really it. That's all they really do have. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Rams, but they do got a lot of issues. They have a lot of injuries, and that's why I don't feel comfortable about betting on this game, because in the beginning of the year, it looked like it was going to be a good game. It looked like the Rams were going to do just fine this year, and the Saints looked like a complete wild card team that could beat anybody in any given moment, especially defensively. But they're completely lost without Sean Payton. They're completely lost without Drew Brees. This team has not been able to figure out their new identity post Drew Brees era. So I have no idea who I'm going to take in this game. I really don't know who I'm going to take. But I don't. I think I would take the Saints though. Just randomly, I will take the Saints as a straight up. But I'm not betting on this game. I'm not betting on this game because I feel like with all the injuries that's going on right now, quarterback issues between these two teams, and the only way they can really, the only success that they do have on both sides of the ball for both of these teams is defense. Their defenses are good, but that's really it. Like, they don't really have anything that really scares you offensively. And when you take Cooper Kupp out of the equation for the Rams, makes things very complicated. So I will take the Saints to win the straight up, despite whatever the quarterback issue is or whatnot. I just don't trust the Rams right now. I think they've got a lot of issues, and especially if Matthew Stafford does not play this week and John Wolford does, then the Saints do win, regardless of who the starting quarterback would be for the Saints at that time. All right, next game. You've got the Cleveland Browns, and they are traveling their way to play the Buffalo Bills, the mighty, tough, physical, you name it, Buffalo Bills, who are favored in this game by 7.5 points. I believe it is now up to 8 points. Listen, I mean, the Bills got their problems right now. I picked them to be a Super Bowl team. I still think they could still win a Super Bowl. I think they can get into a Super Bowl. But if they can start fixing the problems that they have, like the run game, for example, that's, semi-decent, that they can get some yardage on with Singletary and Nyheim Hines, not put a lot of pressure on Josh Allen to do everything, not make him be Superman, and to not sell on defense. I mean, if they could do any of those things, the Bills could win this game. But my heart wants to go with the Browns, though, in this game, and I'll tell you why. The reason why is because the Browns have, yes, their record is 3-6, so their record is not very good, or seemingly not very good. But look at the roster that the Browns do have. It's not that bad of a roster. They have a talented roster outside of quarterback with Deshaun Watson. Not there right now, but he will be there in a couple of weeks. And when you have Jacoby Brissett, who's been playing solid, he's a solid backup, a solid player when you need him to be, but he is not the franchise guy for this team. And with all the things that they do have, the weaponry that they do have of the Browns, like Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's stepping up, and David Njoku at tight end, I believe he is starting in this game. It should be good for him there to start and come back to this game. Like, they do have some weapons, and they do have a pretty good offensive line, too, that can protect the quarterback well. And we've seen that with Brissett this year. Run game, they have arguably probably the best run game in the NFL right now with Nick Chubb. Like, Nick Chubb is a great running back, and you can't beat him. And something that the Bills' defense is very susceptible to is against the run. So Nick Chubb could have a good game. He could probably come out and really, make a statement for himself. And really, that's probably how the Browns could win this game. As my heart really wants to say the Browns, I got to pick the Bills. I just have to pick the Bills because it's home in Buffalo. Okay, it's home in Buffalo. Josh Allen is still a beast. They're still a Super Bowl contending team. And I think as far as defense goes, defense is good, but I think as far as the run goes, they're going to struggle with Nick Chubb. I don't think they're going to be able to stop him so easily. But I do think, in terms of defensively, I think defensively helps them win this game because I think the offense for the Browns will have to really get their A game going to really, get this, these receivers going and playing well and break these coverages. Um, and maybe even, and with the Browns defense not being the greatest, talent is there, but not very well coached of a defense for the Browns. That's going to be hard when you're, playing someone like Josh Allen, who is very, very, very good against defenses that are not good. And when the Bills do play and when the Bills offense is on, they are extremely on and you can't stop them. I will take the Bills to win. I will take them to cover the spread as well. As crazy as that might sound, I will take them to cover. I will take them to take the straight up win. I just want give me one sec, guys. Here. Yeah, sorry, guys. I just needed to had another tickle in my throat there, so I wanted to make sure that I was getting that out. Okay, next we've got the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, the Baker Mayfield show once again after PJ Walker suffers a high ankle sprain, who is going to travel their way to the Baltimore Ravens. Easy, I'm taking the Ravens to win. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm not going to take the spread, though, for a couple of reasons. But I will take the Ravens to win easily because defensively for the Ravens, that has been very deceptible this year. But I feel like the last couple of weeks that they've been playing and what games I have watched of the Ravens, I think they're now getting back to where they used to be defensively. Like getting back to their famous splits, making some good coverages, double coverages, and here and there, and what have you. I think they're playing good defense. I think coaching staff is doing a better job of calling a good defensive coaching game. I think with Lamar Jackson, he's playing still well, given with very limited players that he has around him. I think they're just getting to like that around that spot now where like they're very hot right now, where like teams are going to have a hard time preparing for them and possibly even beating them. But I'm taking the Ravens. I don't care who's that quarterback for the Panthers. I don't care if it's PJ Walker. I don't care if it's Baker Mayfield. I don't care if it's Sam Darnold, Matt Corral. I don't care. Panthers have a lot of issues right now. They're still not a good team whatsoever. They have 3 wins. That's awesome. That is awesome. But this team is nowhere anywhere to be good outside of defense. That's pretty much it with this team. They're still not a very good team. The Ravens, John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson will have a field day. They'll win this game easily. The spread, again, I'm not going to take the spread because there had been at times where the defense has been deceptible and do give up points at the end of the game and possibly end up really losing them, which may or may not happen in this game. But I'm not sure if they can cover the spread, though, with 13. I think that's just a lot of really points to really ask there. And as a conservative move that does sound, I mean, you've got to be a little bit realistic with that as far as defense goes for the Ravens. So that's why I can't take them to cover the spread. But I will take them to win the straight up. And if you wanted to, you could also bet on the money line for the Ravens, seeing what will go on there. So we'll see what happens there. But I'll take the Ravens to win. All right, next game, you've got the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, who are going to play in MetLife Stadium to play the New York G-Men, who are favored by 3 points. Okay. The Lions. Hold on one second. Excuse me. Thank you. So, the Giants, okay? the Giants have been very good this year, and it's not because of talent. It's because of coaching staff. Wink Martindale's defense has been playing excellent this year. Very hardcore defensive classic games. Brian Daboll containing Daniel Jones, limiting his mistakes, and they're closing out games with Brian Daboll and the games that he's been calling. And defensively, they're also successful too with Wink Martindale. That doesn't let up a lot of points. Um, and they keep themselves in the game when they really need to the most. And they play really well defensively. The Lions have the worst defense right now in the NFL. And that's no exaggeration whatsoever. Their defense is horrific. Horrific. Okay? But the one thing that I do like about the Lions that I've liked all year round, pretty much, despite the injuries, what I like offensively is I like DeAndre Swift for one. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I do like some of their receiver pieces too that are solid, like number two, maybe even number three receivers. May not be the greatest receivers of all time, but they are solid and they are good enough to help get some wins. Okay. But I think Jared Goff playing in the weather like New Jersey, okay, playing outdoors that he's not really typically really used to, considering he plays in Detroit that is in a dome. It's going to be very hard for them to be successful. It's going to be very hard for them to get a lot of plays off. They kind of got lucky last week against the Bears. They probably should not have won that game against the Bears because of pure luck. But at the same time, they ended up winning that game. A win's a win for them. But the Giants are a much better physical team. They're better coached, better defense, better offense with Saquon. It's going to be tough to beat the G-Men in MetLife. I got to go with my G-Men. I got to go with my New York Giants. I can't bet against them. I cannot bet against them, and I can't pick against them. I'm taking the Giants to win this game. I think the what do you call it? The spread. Thank you. I had a brain fart there. I think the spread is good with 3 because I think the Giants, they close out nice games, but they don't always have the strongest start to any game. That's going to make it very susceptible, make it very challenging for them to be able to do that. So that's why I'm taking the Lions to win. The Giants to win. I'm taking the Giants to win and cover the spread because I think it's very hard to be able to pick the Lions with the bad defense that they have right now. And considering what the weather condition, which is kind of unknown right now, it's New Jersey right now. It's cold right now as we speak. It probably is in the 30s. It's 35 outside right now. That's very cold out. I don't see Jared Goff performing well in that kind of weather, and maybe even a little bit of wind too. I just don't see it. So I will take the Giants to win. I will take them to cover the spread. Let's go. All right, next game you've got the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, who are going to play one of their divisional foes of the Denver Broncos, who are 2.5-point favorites. Neither team is very good this year. I will say that right now. Neither team has played well all year, which is a shame because, especially for the Broncos case, after getting Russell Wilson and everybody saying, okay, Russell Wilson's here. He's going to be the greatest of all time. He is the Lord and Savior for this team. Yippee-yi-yay. He has not been able to prove yet that he is their franchise guy. And with the amount of money that they are playing with him is absolutely outrageous. He is robbing this organization, like, very clearly. He is robbing the organization. He has not played well. He's really not had, like, at least one solid game yet. In my own personal opinion, he has not had a solid game yet. And the receivers that they have are very overrated. Jerry Jeudy is going to be out with an ankle injury. That's probably like his legit borderline number 1, number 2 receiver. given on the day, if Cortland Sutton is not like his fixated target for the week, it's probably going to be Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's not going to be there. Cortland Sutton will be there. He's going to get every single target, like you see Matthew Stafford take with Cooper Kupp. I guarantee you, he will take all the targets. He may not catch them all, but he will take every single target. That's what Russell Wilson is going to do, and that's what he's fixated in. The Broncos can't run. They can't pass the ball. They can't block very well. At times, they can't block well. The Broncos offensively are a mess. But what makes them win this game and why I'm going with Denver for this week is not just because of home field advantage, but their defense has also been playing really good, though, this year. Their defense is very good. That overcomes everything with the Broncos, and that's why they keep themselves in the game and why they win these kind of close, low-scoring games. And if the offense gets like an opportunity to put themselves in a position to win, so be it, and they will take advantage of that opportunity at times. But the defense keeps them in the game. The defense helps them win these games. And with the chance of being a mile high, guys, playing in Colorado, playing in a different state, a different elevation of football is very, very, very complicated. Not many teams have had success with playing Denver in recent years and beyond. Ask Tom Brady. Ask Patrick Mahomes even. Patrick Mahomes, yes, right now he's undefeated against the Broncos still. But he's also struggled against them too when he's played in Mile High. Okay? That's just a fact right there. Now, as far as the Raiders go, yes, the Raiders, I thought were going to be better than the Broncos this year. I still kind of think they are better than the Broncos at times. But with the way that the Raiders have been playing within the last couple of weeks has not been good complementary football. They've had the lead, 17-point leads at least 3 times this season, and they just absolutely blow them. Last week they had a fourth quarter, lead when they going into the fourth quarter. They were leading, not by a lot, but they were leading, and they gave up that game and they lost that game. I think Derek Carr I think it's going to be time to move on from Derek Carr. I think this is his last, no, not his last game, but I think this is his last season with the team. He's got a few more weeks. We'll see if he ever ends up getting released at the end of the year or if he gets traded to another team. But I think Derek Carr is done. I think the days of having Derek Carr is over. We'll see if all of the coaching staff does stay. I think they need to look at defense and revamp on defense and take a look at that because it's horrific outside of Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, who has not been, the most elite player. I think he's out of his prime at this point in his career. Had some moments in the game in games this year, but really it's been all Max Crosby. That's the most impressive defensive player for this team. And that's really saying something. So that's why I'm taking the Broncos. I don't trust the Raiders defense to stop the Broncos whatsoever, despite them having problems with running the ball, them having problems passing the ball. I still take the Broncos because they will take some kind of advantage to the Raiders defense, and with Derek Carr and company, will struggle against the Broncos defensive pass rush, run defense, everything. They're going to have a hard time with that. So I will take the Broncos to win. But it's a game that is probably going to be avoid betting on for this week for me. So if you plan on betting on this game, I would probably wait until Sunday and see what the spread is at that point, because it could go up to 3, could go up to 2. You never know. All right, next game, you've got the Dallas Cowboys, 1.5-point favorite. Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, or some people call them the Dallas Cowgirls, who are playing the Minnesota Vikings, the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings, that I am gladly going to take the Vikings to win in Minnesota. Their win streak is going to continue here because I feel with the way that the Cowboys defense played last week was very poor. Okay, it was very poor the way they played Aaron Rodgers and how they just let that game slip away for them. Dak Prescott at times has been very deceptible, very subpar, has not been the absolute greatest for the Cowboys, last week. made some, crucial mistakes, made some interceptions that probably really cost him the game. And his conversions on third down has been one of the worst in the NFL this year. And that's no joke. That's at least what I've been hearing from uh, other podcasts like Mitch Milani from the Bottom Line View. Like, that's the guy, that really knows and lives and breathes the NFL sports and football. You know, I think that's a challenge. It's tough for Dak to really come back and be able to perform after having a rough one with the Packers that they had a good chance to beat. But the Vikings are coming off the best win of their franchise, the best win of the year, and the best win for Kirk Cousins and company, and especially in his own career. I'm taking the Vikings. I'm getting on the Vikings train. You should too. They are a good team. They are tough. They are physical. They are aggressive offensively. If they can't pass the ball on one day, no problem. They can run the ball with Dalvin Cook. It is never a problem for them. Offensively, they get explosive. Defensively, at times, very deceptible, but also at the same time, they are pretty semi decent and can have some good matchups here and there. But I'm taking the Vikings. I take the Vikings to win. I take them the plus 1.5. And let's go. We'll go with that. All right, Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals. Hold on one second. if you're able to as well. And sorry, I did not realize that my microphone has been muted. But also drop a like if you're able to. Drop a like and be able to hit the comment button down below as well. And also, if you're able to as well, subscribe as well. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you're able to. All those things will be very helpful for my YouTube channel and some success. So please be able to do that for me and have some success in that. So please do those things and help me out. Subscribe, like, comment, whatever you need. I'm there for you, babe. Help me out. Thank you. And if you guys didn't hear some of the things that I was talking about, I apologize. Yeah, so because I'm kind of playing back a little bit. If you guys have not heard a little bit of what I was talking about before, but I am taking the Bengals to win against the Steelers because of how bad the dreadful of the Steelers offense is. I'm taking on Sunday Night Football. I'm taking the Chiefs to win over the Chargers because of the injuries that's going on with the Chargers and coaching staff wise. I'm taking the Chiefs to win. And then for Monday Night Football, I am taking the 49ers to win over the Cardinals because of coaching. So if you haven't got that already, now you know. So I'll take the Bengals straight up. I take them to cover the spread. And that's it for that. Sunday Night Football, Chiefs to win. But I don't know if they'll cover the spread, though. I think that's kind of tough to do for the Chiefs to do that because they normally don't cover the spread all that great. But, you never know. If you want to, you can look into that if you wish. And then Monday Night Football with the 49ers and the Cardinals, I take the 49ers to win the straight up, and I would take them to cover the spread. And with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Really means a lot. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Hope you guys really enjoy everything that I've been able to provide to you guys this year and moving forward throughout the rest of the week. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys are able to watch as much football as you can. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the weather out. Might be a little bit cold if you're living on the northeast. And with all that being said, thank you guys. This is your boy JP Football Fanatics saying peace out. We will see you all next time. Thank you, everybody.